Alrighty, Aphrodite. Snap, snap, snap. Quick check, bangarang. Pretty good view, but it needs some walking room. I've been having some interesting deja vu flashes when I did this stuff. And like I mentioned, when I started over. Now I think it's like I made sure the only options, I turned on this camera, and then I added that camera as a mic, so it's the only current input, and then that camera as a secondary. Again, that's a pretty good camera mic. That's a better camera mic. Best mic. Pretty darn good camera. I'm not sure how that's going to adjust. But I am configured for low lightage ish. And Titan cables, we are at Mark III iteration. We have sound, we have speakers, we have speaker box, we have USB microphone down on the floor. That's just so I can see it, so I can see the little blue light. But with a few minor adjustments, I can essentially set it and be so golden. And what's cool, I'm just realizing, is when I do, assuming the Christmas lights thing work or something like it, there's probably something like Wally World that I can just get and it'd be good. I'm kind of the impression, just mentally, that I need to, before I take the bike anywhere, that I'm going to leave it unattended. Like, I can probably take it up to the bank and put it in the bank front area. I don't like that though. But I gotta do what I gotta do because I don't have the padlock for it yet. And essentially I want to be able to ride from here, get to the tobacco place. I want to get my card working, get tobacco, check and see on my mug. Hopefully it's still there. Maybe get weed, maybe not, no big deal. I think that should happen between 8 and 10 in the morning. That means that once the bank card's going, I have a bus pass, so I can then get the bike and put it on the front and get it to where I want it to go. So I won't be cold, I won't have to be going downhill. By noontime, when it's warm, it'll be a nice ride, and at that point I'll deal with having a padlock or something. But in essence, I'm thinking out loud. Oh, product placement brought to you by Smile High Comedy. Stop and think about it. Most people don't. That's grainy looking, strangely enough, but it's clearer. And I almost think I hear rain. It's been windy, and with my windows open, at times when it first starts raining, I think you can start hearing it drip in the gutters. Of course, when it's going, you can't hear it usually. Very rarely. It happens, and today might be one of those times because it's windy. But not very often is the wind ASMR. I gotta remember that to get my tags straightened out. So I was trying to do this, and then where's my share button? And then copy that share, copy that, and then click go, paste, and click play, silence the stream. That way I have what's going, what's coming, and what it's supposed to look like. And I should at some point see that I have a viewer, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes it sees me, sometimes it does not. That's weird. It looks like there's something like a whatever. Oh, it's the orange bag that says volunteer, but the way it's looking at this angle, all of a sudden I saw a like a pop-up version of Ronald Reagan wearing a black cowboy hat, like tipping his head down like that, or like that, for that angle. I don't know if you can see that right here. You know, the face and the eyes, and then the hat. I don't know what that orange thing up there, that pointy thing would be, but that whole thing to me in that camera looks like Ronald Reagan. In that camera, it looks like 3 empty boxes. 1, 2, 3, with some stuff in front of it. It's kind of a fun visual play. And where's my headspace? Something's low. Is it this? Oh, but I was trying to get it to do the keyboard, I guess. And where is that noise coming from? I think it's me, but I have this sound on. Oh, maybe it's this. Let's see what that does. I hear that. I hear that. Alright, cool. So there's sound. I can get this in here so maybe you see better. But with the minor mini adjustment, this currently works okay because, well, it doesn't include space for the speaker. But as long as I can put the larger, it needs adjustment, but it can be boxed in. And then when this outside is opened up, it can be this. There is the possibility that this, what I'm looking at here, gets set in a manner so the box goes flat, if that makes sense. So I essentially, like, I have styrofoam that fit these monitors perfectly. Nothing for this. But if I put something between these monitors, these little corners, and this screen, you can see there with that, you can see how there's a little space back here. So I put up some foam here, and then I put the styrofoam on these things, then this whole thing can become one box that can then lay down. But on the back of those, what I want to have is an arm for this, and an arm for this, and an arm for this, so that these can pivot and sit like this, with this one inside of it. As part of the problem of this computer monitor is the stand is kind of big. When I get the clamp with the 3 arms, these 2 can essentially go back behind it, so they tuck back like this. This can be moved ahead, like pulled here. But the idea is that this one can then be lifted up here. These can set just like this. So you have your control, you have your feeds, or however you like to have it. But that it zoinks down into a little space with the least amount of adjustment as possible. In this current configuration, remember, how do I put it? If I make sure the monitors are not attached, but something that can be, secured with on and off. Just for, let's say, example, Velcro. So I put some little pads down, get everything level, swing, they're down. That's travel position. That's as if it were locked in place. Again, all of this really stems on a couple important cables. For that, the HDMI mini to regular HDMI, meaning that I can get this camera, hopefully, and plug it into a monitor and be able to see it, or a tablet or something. I don't know how that's going to work. The other thing is the mount with the stand. If I can mount these 3 monitors so they can be zoinked together less than 48 inches, because when I turn them this way, like that, like this way, it's wide, right? 2 of these like this is 48 inches because it's 224s. But if I pitch it like this, because they're curved, and then move it, that other one can come in between them. Then all I really need is to have a foam piece around the middle one, like a sleeve, to go chunk. It pulls forward, those other 2 tuck in, maybe little sleeves for M, little hats for bats, chunk chunk. That's all in its nice little place. The keyboard's here, the mouse is here, the 2 speakers are up here. Those are intended, and I don't, these ones themselves do not have bases. I've seen some that are like this, for this camera angle, that are like this height on this one, because again, they're just little cheapy computer monitors, really super standard, $5-10 at a thrift store, but it's got a volume and a tone, and it's got a volume on the subwoofer. And because the subwoofer's in a box, it's a box in a box, and the subwoofer vent is up. So if I turn it on, which I'm not going to do because of copyright bots, but if I turn it on, I can put the box and you can, like, it vibrates it. It's brr, 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 which kind of makes it sound louder than it is. It's kind of funny. But the cool fun part to me is by moving this like this, I can essentially put this screen in that camera without having to mess with this to add stuff. Does that make sense? If I can turn this like that without jangling any wires, because that's what I've been working on. And that's the other part of this. With the clear wrap, I probably can get some kind of, I'm thinking clear silicone caulk. Here's why. Currently, the way it's set up, everything, all the connections fit, right? It's going to be put in a box that's in its own universe. That means I can get clear silicone caulk type glue adhesive and use it to connect all the cables to the devices that they will only be connected to. The problem is that changes its ability to be put like that camera. If I do that, I have to do it, and I think the way you do it is you either use a little bit of WD-40 or some kind of lubricant. So essentially, when you put it on there, the stuff sticks to the stuff that doesn't have the lubricant, so it will form a little rubber gasket. So if, like, say this is the thing that you're trying to connect to, and you want to put this thing into there like that, but you want the outside to have a seal, like a rubber gasket. Thing to do is, this is where you want the rubber gasket, or is this where you want the rubber gasket? You see what I'm saying? So you get the part, you, like, say, dip this one in oil. Let's say that this is a USB male connector. This is the female. So you get this connector, you dip it in whatever it is. It could be oil, spray it with WD, whatever it is. You put it in the thing, you make sure the connection's solid and right where you want it to be. Then you put the silicone on it and you let it dry. Because the lubricant doesn't stick to the silicone, it just pulls right out. And the silicone only sticks to the other stuff, creating a rubber seal around it. That way you can disconnect it, and it still has sort of a weatherproof seal. Weather resistant seal. The other possibility and issue is, how do we get this? Because, again, it can sit on a selfie stick, and in a concert situation, regular mic stands are commonplace. That selfie stick, wherever I have it, has tape on it because I made it the size with a V-shaped thing, so when you stick it in a regular stand, it becomes a mic stand. What's going on with this? It's streaming. Stream health is acting funky. Maybe it's because of that. I'm going to close that and see if it helps. My little triangle's good. My levels are good. That's working. That's working. That just says it's yellow error. So how about I put a mute on that? Pause that. I'm going to just close it. And then it's not taking up any bandwidth. Well, come on. Picture giddy up then, Billy Bob. Oh, right. Open the speed test deal. Watch it. I do this, it's going to just bling. Oh, this is perfect. Maybe not, but usually. Well, not a damn thing has changed except you, YouTube, so off my nuts about it anyway. But it's like they make these pages, these web pages anymore, and it's so asinine. I have no idea why it's saying it's having a problem. Now it's excellent. Alright, there you go. And where's the thing that says ignore the bullshit button? Oh, it won't let me change anything. Okay. Part of all of this is me figuring out what can be where, how, so I understand where my cables are. I just moved that camera, which has the USB Wi-Fi connected, like draped over it, so it's higher up. And now it's acting all funky. Again, my signal says 83%, and the box is like right up there in the hall. Where's the thing? Right up there. The other thing I'm figuring out, again, when these are on a stand, the angle of each camera would change, right? This is on a tripod currently, but because it has the universal base, I can put it on any other stand or the selfie stick, and then put the selfie stick in a mic stand and up. Currently as narrow and tiny, like this is as small as this can get. It appears, I could push these monitors completely in. They would meet right in the middle. Right now, this base is right on the edge of that, okay? This base is hanging over a little bit. This is hanging over a little bit. That means the only way I can fit all three of these monitors inside the footprint of this is by making this one so it goes up over these. These can go back. It comes down and forward sitting right here. And then those can turn this way so this part fits in the, see what I mean? It'll make more sense as it develops, but this is becoming really nice and permanent. And here's what I'm thinking, because it may not make much sense to you, but it's gonna. Because I'm gonna meditate on it. This is gonna be a short 20-minute deal. We're gonna wrap things up. Then I'm gonna figure out what it takes to literally wrap it up. Because check it. Down here, well, you can't see it, and I'm not gonna go crazy over it, but down here is where the front panel is on this side. Over there is the back panel. The computer fits perfectly in the shelf as it is, but only the front or the back gets space for wires. I want it on the back because there's more wires there. Once those are connected and solid, I can use that same thing I was just telling you about as far as dipping a thing in the deal and putting it together. But the idea is this: I put all the cables that are the best cables I can get connected to it without any concern, and no extra weird lubricant, just as it is. Maybe anti-seize or some kind of thing for good electrical connection so it doesn't oxidize or whatever. Point is, you put everything together and then you get something like that spray, like truck bed liner, that's like a rubbery thing, and you just spray everything so that rubbery thing holds everything together and seals it from water. At that point, those are solid, 100% waterproof. Then I box in the frame of that with the clear plastic, right? Here's the deal. The way this is set up currently, this is essentially a shelf top just setting on a shelf bottom of 2 sections. The reason that matters is putting 4 posts in each corner gives me a top box. I put everything inside of that. That gets weatherproofed as the top box. That can fit in the box. See what I'm saying? The other part can be wrapped. It becomes the bottom box. You marry those two together, assuming this box fits in that way, modifying the top, or just essentially not putting on the skin the way it's supposed to, but putting this on the inside, then wrapping it in the clear plastic. The cool part about that is the bottom becomes all lit up, because when it's plugged in and that computer is on, when the hard drive goes, like I'm talking about, the lights will blink. There's other things that we can do with that. Even LED little stuff that I even have the lights in the guitar on a wheel, or so I can change those things. The point is to start from the bare minimum foundation, work on it as it goes. But the point is, I want it all to fit in one unit, but because the way this is set up, it seems easier, hoping and assuming. Now let's stop that and let's just measure. From what I remember seeing, this should fit. It's close. But my point being is, if I put a shelf here, I want these to fit inside of that. So another shelf unit, which perfectly fits in this with a few little spaces for stuff, becomes the top box. So I don't have to change anything there. I don't have to change anything there. You see what I mean? I just wrap it up, and then when I get it to the place where it's set up time, razor knife opens the top. That's all sitting there with these things that can just be popped out, and the ones that are in the back become the backdrop frame to hang something so you can't see the back. So that way, from the opposite side, you see a clear box with a computer inside of it and cables and stuff, and like colorful lights with a black top and a black background, because this side has the thing over it, with the black drop that goes between here, the back of the monitors, and that side. And without the backdrop, the reason I like doing it in skeleton style is because without the backdrop, that enables it to, like in the windy conditions, when you have those things, it's nice, but they're more trouble when they're worse than there were sometimes. I just got to do this to goes between here. The volume's really good. See, that's so much better than that mic, or that mic. But yeah, I was gonna do a meditation moment, and I've got some herbs for meditation, I think. I still have, no, I think I'm completely out of budlets. I've been working on the crumbs. I think it was Christmas I bought this 1/4 ounce, which I guess was 4 days ago. And I think I've done a pretty good job of keeping it at or below a gram a day. Because it might have been the 24th that I got it, not the 25th. It's now 11:36, and not even 100% sure that I'm going to sleep much tonight. What I am sure about is the first thing I need to do in the morning is get on my giddy up, get to the bank, get money and bank card figured out, please, like without issue, and then tested and made sure, like right there and other places, like buy something for 20 cents or something. Just be like, does it really work? They said it will work, but does it? If I can do that, then we should be pretty good to get tobacco, get the bike lock. Maybe that's what I do. Yeah, okay, that'll work. So I'll, well, I want tobacco first. Well, if I get the bus pass, instead of riding the bike down the hill, I just get on a bus and go down the hill, or walk it, it's downhill. But get tobacco, get the coffee cup. Part of my mentality is I think the weed store opens at 9 a.m. there. But if I decided to just get a day pass and go straight towards like Target or something, or if I, probably a better option is to head towards Denver, like go up, get the bank card figured out, get the bus pass, get on an FF1 and get to the, I'm pretty sure Target's the second stop and then Walmart's the third stop. Target is easier to get to because it like drops you off and you just kind of got to cut across a big parking lot, if I remember right. The Walmart, you really got to hike and up a hill and buy a thing and up this. On a bicycle it's not so bad. On walking it takes a lot longer. And since the goal is to just get a bike lock, if I can get the bike lock and then get back to this side of things, also and get tobacco because it might be cheaper there. But as long as I can find both of those things on that trip and start shopping for that wrap, I kind of want to think that Office Depot or some kind of, you know, that would make more sense to find it bulk and cheap and industrial. But things that I need, like SD card memory chips for that camera and that recorder deal, and phones for music and for, you know, every phone, if I use it as a recording device on site, if it has a memory chip, I can just open the phone, take the chip out, and not worry about taking up space on the cloud for saving that stuff. And this is a pretty good, this is where I go, okay, I'm on point, because this is my 4th rolling paper of the day. So that means this is my 4th cigarette of the day, and I still have big pieces that I could nibble on. But this gets my head to, okay, this is my the end of my shift kind of deal. There's Jed. Sometimes I think about the Beastie Boys. There's a song called the Eggman. Eggman, 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 Eggman. And I just put Jedman or Jebman, or I think it's, could be B-Boy, but I think it could be also D-Dog. But is it that? This just got that smell of like that. I mean, as a smoker, to smell fire, like that smells weird. It's not right smelling fire. Sometimes I really worried about Jed, that I've had friends that kind of had moments like they were maybe more drug induced, but part of the reason all of these things are all boxed up is I don't really trust that one of these motherfuckers won't just torch their shit and walk and leave everybody else here to suffer and burn. So I've had an oh shit bag, like the emergency bags. I've had those things. Yeah, that definitely smells weird. Yeah, I think it's this. I don't know, I just saw a headlight. Something. Let me see. But this is not a fire truck. I see smoke, so I'm guessing it's that. Hopefully not a seed, that would bum me out. I mean, I squeeze everything. Yeah, that's like a stem or something. But I had this one friend, like my adventures at Clem Hawkins Park. I live in San Francisco. I go to Burning Man, right? Get invited to couch surf. Totally out of my wheelhouse, but I go, okay, I'll do it. First week, I kind of felt shit out. Second week, and the whole time I was kind of looking for a job, but I remember Adam and his roommate like had a meeting and like, hey, dude, you really got to you got to get going forward. And I was like, okay. So I got a job at a coffee place, smoothie place, just as a job. Just so I could say I had a job until I got my good computer job. After I got that job and then lost that job, they said, oh, our other friends are moving out of this place, so they have an apartment with lots of rooms that are vacant, and it's essentially free because it's between ownerships. So I moved into there, and they were using it as a party space because some of them had like more money than they knew what to do with. This pretty.com. So the apartment adjacent to it that was up there was essentially the guy that sold most of those people all of their weed. Like he would get quarter pounds and pounds on the daily, sometimes every other daily. And my window was like the apartments, there were fronts this way and fronts this way, and these were up here because this was a big hill because of San Francisco. So anyway, the apartment building that I was in, you enter this way, and then my apartment was at the top floor, but my window was street level to the next road behind us. So if I was sitting there, the window's open, I'm playing guitar, doing my thing, dude would walk by and say, hey, what's up, you smoking today? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. So we'd go into his place, we'd smoke some herb, he'd like weigh out bags for all of his customers, and then we'd sit around and smoke weed and play video games while the customers came and went. And I was kind of his, I don't know how to put, I was like the only one that he didn't, like he totally trusted me because of who I was and everything he knew about me, because I was volunteering and just because. 33. Anyway, so I got my dream job at the art college. I moved out of that place into a Airbnb for like a couple weeks while I was waiting because I had been approved to get an apartment at 28th and Mission. That apartment was $650, and I moved in right before New Year's. Essentially, this time of year, I had signed the papers, gave the lady the money, started to move stuff in, and met Paula, who was from Northern Ireland, Belfast. And she was staying at the Green Tortoise. So for a couple, 3 days, she and I dated because she was planning to stay in San Francisco until April 1st. For whatever reason, that day kept coming up even after that. But, so essentially she and I started dating, being a couple. We had a shared apartment with what turned out to be 4 other junkies, heroin addicts. And anyway, she went back to Ireland on April 1st. On that day, I moved everything from there into my first storage locker in San Francisco, which I later ran out of money and couldn't pay for. but I kept it as long as I could. I'm not sure why I was talking, because the whole point was something to do with Space Lounge, I thought. Anyway, this is, for me anyway, I feel, I don't know, a lot better in that this has been microtized. The next test fit is going to be getting corners in this box. And the other beauty is, like, how can I put it? The other good thing about this being in a 2-box setting is because the bottom box represents a good laptop. It's just what I have, but it also includes more ability to connect more cameras, more processing power, more RAM, like ability to have a recharging station in it. But the idea of them being 2 separate boxes means the top box in the trailer with nothing else but what it is, you can put a laptop to it. If I figure out how to combine the 2 into 1 box, that's cool. Or figure out how to fit it in the trailer, even cooler, whatever. But if not, it works as 2 boxes. I do have 2 trailers, and I'm not trying to use both trailers, but in a pinch it did work. Because the single wheel trailer, it'd be like bike, single wheel trailer, then double wheel trailer. With the hopes that I can put the double wheel trailer on the single wheel trailer, and the 2 wheels and the arm will hold the single wheel straight. Because the problem with this trailer is it likes to do this, which then twists the bike frame. So if you move it like this and tip the bike this way, this thing tips over, and then all the weight in it pulls the bike down, and it sucks. It's probably why Glenn gave it away, because it's a nice one, but it sucks. It's really, I think the only use for it is if you're going like hundreds of miles in a straight line, you really start noticing it because it's tiny and it's got just 1 wheel. But what I'm trying to do is get it configured, and it'll make more sense when I get this back out here, the trailer outside of this, and then take the, I'm not ready to take the cloth off of the cart yet. The buggy, the trailer. Because as it is, it kind of is, it works. I can do the box, slide it in there, put that canvasy stuff around the box, and then wrap that. That makes the whole thing one solid unit. It's not ideal, but I'm just saying I can do that. The thing I'm really working on most is keeping the weight of all of this down. Because that's skinned. The speakers probably are the heaviest. But because of the way I've set this up, like the speakers go off and go down in there. And as long as I can wrap this bottom box and this top box, the whole unit works in a 2-box system. The top box works with the laptop. The bottom box would work with any other thing. But then the whole point is, once I get a good laptop, I would have to modify this by putting all of those cables like in the bottom of the plastic shelfy thing in that. But with the trailer, it kind of goes like this with a downs part in the front. That could be a place to waterproof and then put batteries. If I buy this spray liner for trucks, that can weatherproof the inside of that as well as the outside of it, so the canvas is just there holding stuff. And that's important because along the rail in the front there are 2 parts where the canvas has torn, because when you take it off the bike, that part goes straight to the cement or the ground. So if you move it like that, anything on there wears and tears. It could use like a piece of plastic there as a little footrest, so when you took that off, it goes chunk, like a skateboard rail on the side of my skateboard. So something like that can go on that, along that. But that again requires some tools I don't have, like a little drill or a, that kind of thing. With self-tapping screws, it'll go straight in there, but once it's in there, it's in there. So I don't want to do that until the very last thing, meaning I configure everything, right? I find the batteries, I get them put in there, I get it set up so it's all, and my vision is with or without the canvas skin as it is, which I think is yellow, tinted window plastic and clear plastic and like black netting. When I wrap it, I'll be able to put lights along the perimeter of it. My whole envisionment is that the wheels, I can get one of those old school generators. So on the inside of the wheel on the trailer, I can put one of those little spinny things so the wheel spinning spins the generator, which then goes to the battery, and the battery then goes to the lights. I could even use an original old 60s one with one exception. All I have to do is, instead of using a shitty old 1950s or 60s light bulb, that same current could probably run the whole thing of LED lights because there's so little energy and can be controlled. That's where the gaming concept comes in, because if I have the computer down here and it's in this thing, clear plastic wrapped, without the cardboard, then I can put it in the trailer. When I plug the trailer in or it's running on its own batteries, the trailer lights up itself. So when I'm driving down the highway, the trailer is lit up, the computer is running music, the speakers are producing sound, and it's all mobile, weatherproof, but still usable. Does that make sense? Like, I can't, with a laptop, I wouldn't need these things. You see what I mean? Because with the laptop, I can connect that to the bottom one and pull the laptop up, essentially using the screen. What I really need in that situation is an HDMI. Like, if I find a tablet that has a cable that has HDMI micro, that means I can use that thing as a display screen for that camera, as well as for this bottom box. Does it make sense? Because the keyboard, the mouse, the speakers, everything but the monitors goes underneath. That's one box. So if I have one nice plain screen, this bottom box doesn't need these three. See what I mean? But these three are nice because I have them and they can go plop. And it's its own, when it's in a box, it's like a hood with the cloth parts. That makes it like as good or better than any movie set, as far as dailies and B-roll and things like that. That makes this product design something that could be used by Hollywood on set or by podcasters as the complete everything on location streaming machine. 43. That was a good part of a review. We need to get a advertisement dealie. Let's do this episode is brought to you by T-shirt slogan suck, because they said don't wear your heart in your sleeve, but they never said anything about blasting it straight across your chest so everybody knows exactly how you feel. This originally came out of an idea straight from the heart greeting cards. The first idea was, what if you're at a bar and you wanted to just leave your number classy style to some cute girl, but let them figure it out. You just make a card that says, hey, I noticed you're from over there, so here's my thing. If you like it, text this number or something. Then I was like, what about greeting cards that just, people send cards that they don't really mean. It's like, what if you could send people you didn't like cards? Like, hey boss, thanks for slaving me out for 20 years. Here's my, consider this my official resignation letter. Like, that's cool. People would buy that even if they didn't. Like, what if you worked for your parents and you just did it as a joke for April Fools or something? That's cool. But the idea is that every idea requires the investment of the person, because the price of it is their investment of creativity. For example, if I had a sticker company, okay, and I had a wall of stickers hanging up, and you could go pick. You have to give me a sticker design or design it yourself. You got to give me one if you want one of mine. If you want the one you give me, then that's the one you get. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go, ooh, make me a sticker, I'll make you a sticker. I'll make you a shirt. I'll put your slogan on your thing so you can say what you want to say. But I get to use that anytime I want. And you can't say nothing, because for me to make that thing means I get that idea, and then all I have to do is collect all the ideas. It's the rainbow method in the Monopoly game. But this station, it can be set up so people could make their own deal. Instead of speakers, you connect it to a printer. So the whole point is you make it attractive so people come in, they put something in, they get something out. What do they get out? A printout design that they have made themselves of an image and some letters, and it printed out a thing. Super simple. Right there is a box that turns a vinyl piece of, or a parchment backed piece, like a piece of paper with vinyl on the top of it, a thin sheet. You print on that vinyl, you put it on the thing, you peel it, you iron it on. It's a shirt, it's a purse, it's a hat, it's a patch. You see what I'm saying? But they design it, they love what they get. But then all I have to do is, every time that operates, all of the original ideas, because they got to give me something to use it, to do it, I'm just utilizing that to get the information. Why would someone not assume that book publishers have already done such a thing? And why is my foot like 40% numb right now? Or more. Oh. So cool, I did my product sponsorship early. I'm smoking my end of day cigarette. Only 4. That's really, or maybe it could have been 5. Could have been 5, because I might have rolled one and there were 4 left over is what it was, because I put them in the tin before opening. And this lighter's about dead, and this thing will reveal, I have a, I don't know, it's kind of a crack lighter, but I don't even know where I got it, but it refills. I just can't figure out how to make the volume be smaller, because it's like one of those, that's a big fire. But man, that clear stuff and these 2 boxes and the monitor idea, that was brilliant. Because I'm almost sure that could be like, excuse me, I bet you I could get something like that for like $20 at Wally World or something. You know, just like a 10-inch, like a tablet without a brain. It's just a display. So I can plug that in, display. I can plug it into that display. Like if it has a micro HDMI, it would also be able to somehow connect to DisplayPort or regular HDMI, right? So that same thing, as long as it'll plug into that, and maybe I'll remember to take that and I'll record it or something. But I'll take that. That's probably a good idea too, because then I can burn through all my batteries. I try really diligently to keep my batteries in the proper rotation, because they almost always lose charge. Like if I charge them, unless I start using them right away, they lose some charge. So like this one is almost dead, but if I charge those ones straight away, they've been through the loop twice, and the other ones have been sitting there not doing anything. And I need to make sure I'm aware perfectly where they're at. But selfie stick that camera, go to the thing, get memory chips, get a display deal that will hook to this, all of a sudden, this and any other computer box deal I make will be monitorized. And then the monitor box will be a separate box that can be taken to site if desired or needed, but can maintain its independent storage thing. Then the question will be power utilization. For example, the subwoofers will eat it for like snacks, like stoner snack food. These two good monitors are less power than the old school one, obviously, I guess. But that being said, if the top box is the low wattage version, there's no back monitor. There's just the two. We do with what we can, and then the other math that comes in there is what size battery, and because within this, because it's going in a trailer, is like no questions about it, has to be evenly balanced on the center point. Like I can get these two legs, like two of these legs, well really only one, but if I got two of them, or preferably a steel this size, and I put it under this table, I'm going to be able to put this table up on a thing and position it so the level is level and it does not move with nothing else underneath it. You see what I'm saying? Like pristinely weighted level. It could be 8 pounds, it could be 18 pounds. I'm not seeing 80 pounds because, again, that would never have fit in the place that it is now unless I had done something like I did without knowing why I did it. Same thing with why I tied that rope the way I did and why it ended up on the perfect, because out of all of my power strips, I was trying to decide which power strip goes with what. Out of all of them, that's the only one I have that's meant so the big wall warts don't take up other power space. So it's an 8 outlet thing with all kinds of other protections. It's a really good one. There's a cable, but it's not that long, but I do have a long extension cord it sticks to. All of that, all of this, everything from everything, with the exception of this black cloth, everything gets stashed into place. Maybe I get a hot glue gun, because hot glue would actually work as that silicone sealant thing, but that's something that you need to add like a lubricant. So you know, like all of the end connections, you connect them, like dip them in that oil or Vaseline or something, connect it so when you spray it, all the stuff sticks to the thing, so that just pulls out, makes a little rubbery socket. But the other part of the bottom box I'm still going to work on later tonight, this morning, is getting that front panel mounted on the side or inside so all the connections on the front, essentially the front can be flush with where the shelf is. So that becomes a complete box of clear wrappage. The top is also a grill. If I wrap it the other way and make it just a clear rectangular brick, those top parts, that's waterproof, but the point of it is if there's lights that are flashing from the computer on the inside, the whole thing flashes. So I can it's making the computer box, the shelf part, the DJ part of the scene. Make sense? Same with the top box. If I use the monitors, I can put some type of light, sound reactive LED lights, exactly like a gaming system. It's like one of those things, because they design it for a certain way, I can plug it and use those things even though I don't care for the gaming part. Makes sense? It's just the lights change color based on the sound. So you probably would plug the speakers into this box, then that box out to the, so the box essentially sees the signal and uses that to change the lights. Again, all of these things are mostly low-powered devices, and they're really fun. It's really cool. But mostly, gosh, and this is where I'm like, this is the solution. Take that camera, say, I need a little screen that can connect to this, but I need this thing, that screen, to connect to a regular computer too. So I could connect that computer to a keyboard and that little bitty screen and never have to take the box with all the screens. Does it make sense? I'm not saying that, but the point is that little screen will be a really strong computer. It won't be a little 32 gig tablet. It'll just be a 10, 12 inch screen. Maybe 2 screens. Right? One for that, one for this. I got both, all best worlds. I just don't have a big display box and a scene. Because this, to me, makes, like, I'd rather see this at a concert than I would somebody just looking at a little tablet. But on that little tablet, with the way things swipe, imagine the tablet is designed so when I go this way, it's that screen, right? Essentially, every swipe is a different screen. That means I couldn't do that on a tablet because the software is limited to Android or whatever. But I can do it on a computer and then use the tablet as the interface for, like, the mouse. That's really cool. And that makes it one of those, whoa, that's even better. Because then anybody that has any device that's a Linux system can then just go, psh, psh, it's up, this is good, perfect. If they can do that, once I've got this, I can also do things like essentially inventory all the settings, do a time shift, share it that way. I wouldn't, those things are, the thing about time shift I've acknowledged is all it does is it saves your entire, like, if your hard drive and all your files, including all your settings and all your everything, is, let's just say, 10 gigabytes. It creates a file that's like 11 gigabytes because it's all of those exact files the first time, remind you. The second, third, fourth time, it only puts the stuff that's changed. So the idea is that if you're working in a week and every day you make some changes and then you get to Thursday or Friday or the next Tuesday and something's like, wait, this isn't functioning, you can always go backwards just one day to find where the settings changed that made the problem. Or, more importantly, in this case, see, this is just one box. And I'm making this so it can be autonomous, separate entity. This top thing, remember, it has a laptop that I can plug into all of this, is the vision, with the lights that go with sound and speakers. Bottom is just the box without the monitors. So there's just a little display for that thing, works for that thing. So the keyboard, the mouse, the monitors, everything is down there. And then I want to get the display so I can swipe it so each one is a workspace or a screen. Each of these screens I can, I think, assign as, or they might already be identified as their own individual workspace. In original, when this started happening, before we had all of these video cards, we would have one screen. And I recall Linux and Mac being the first ones where you could swipe the screen with your mouse and it essentially moved, like if I had a desk here, like I could swipe from workspace to workspace to workspace with each one essentially being the settings as if it was its own machine. But we figured out how to get one machine to look like 3 machines, and I have 4 machines. If I can make 4 machines look like 4 machines, that's like 24 machines. We're right at the hour. So again, that first hour was brought to you by T-shirt Slogan Suck. This is my product placement. That's my little, that's my brand actually. And why do they suck? Well, because they're free. Free is a 4-letter word to the powers that be. This next hour is brought to you by free. because the powers that be need a 4-letter word too. And I also think, I'm not sure, I think there's a way that I can, right now my video display you can kind of see. Again, in this configuration without a box around it, this thing could be lifted up here. All of this could be spread out and just, you could even, this could be its own gaming system center. You understand? Like, you could lift this up, have the desk part be on a dealie, then that just comes right here, and then you have almost 3D, or 180 degree plus, 2 monitors and 3 monitors. If you had one game and all 3 monitors. The cool part about this is that machine down there, as it is, still has 2 if not 3 more ability places to connect more monitors. But I'm really stoked about the way that it accidentally fell into place on purpose or something, because I honestly would have never thought of the whole why make it 2 different things. But I just kept going with whatever was right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just kept doing that one thing. And it's just like, oh, wait. Oh, now that makes sense, because when my crapped out lappy, I get some air juice in it. Shopping list, hashtag shopping list. Spray that, it starts working again. Please, oh, please, oh, please. Possibly what had happened also is I did some kind of reset in the BIOS. I was configuring something. That's the very last thing I remember happening before the fan quit working. And I almost think, because HP especially, but other computer companies do this sometimes, they make a hardware, the base frame, and then they put the stuff to it, and then they go, oh wait, this needs fixins. So they do that in the BIOS. If the BIOS doesn't get loaded, or if it gets reverted to its previous state, that doesn't work, because they did that by connecting an outside machine to that. The same way you connect an Android phone to a computer, then you use a computer to create the program or the application. But the application in a computer and a phone, those are different. So the easiest interface, in my opinion, is to make all of the apps web pages. So when you go to the web page through a browser, it works, but it doesn't matter what phone you use, and you don't ever have to download any apps. You just use it through a web page. And it really only gets problematic if it is popular. And if I never promote it, it never gets popular. It's just there for me. And it's what? F-R-E-E. Found roadside, everyone, everywhere. It's like Ford, they say, is found on roadside dead. Or first on race day, depending on what side of the fence you like to look at those letters. It's to that temperature where it's not really good enough. It's not warm enough to be good. It was the last of that, so it's okay. And I'm almost finished with my shaky thing, which is good. And the other good thing, I just have, this is the way I function, like water is wet. I'm hard pressed to be sure, but I think today I used only 2, maybe 3 of the almost gallon jugs. The almond stuff is not a gallon. I think it's short. It's less in fluid ounces than an actual gallon. Like, I think maybe they're 96 and a gallon's 128, or I don't know. They're different. But one of those what I call a gallon jug, makes 2 what I call a pods. of coffee, which is 2 of these, kinda, 1.5 or something. With my Yeti, which I think is 20 or 22, I don't think it's 24 ounces, but essentially when I used to make coffee for the Yeti, the amount, like 2 tablespoons I think it is, makes 1 Yeti cup. But when I started doing it in the coffee maker, that was like to the second line and just above, meaning there was like 2.5 Yeti mugs in a coffee pot. So if instead of doing just over 6, I did just over 10, the top being 12, that just over 10 gave me 2 pots, but more than 2 Yetis for some reason. But that I haven't had an actual coffee pot. That's the first time I've had one, and I've had it for a couple, 3 months maybe. I like it kinda for 2 reasons. It's a nice one in that it's expensive enough that it has some automatic features, like it won't just sit there and burn the coffee. It's either on a timer or on a temperature gauge. So I will forget about it and it goes off. And it could be a combination of both. Because if it's always on and it's hot and it's breezy, it evaporates, it gets more condensed, it gets more taste and burnt. But since I add the, I don't know what to call it other than powdered nothing, non-dairy creamer, without the non-dairy creamer, it's difficult to drink the coffee I would normally drink. But with what I drink, it doesn't seem to have any supreme downsides. It might add an inch. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's any calories or anything filling. It's not sweet. It's not sugary. It's just changes the acidity and gives it a creaminess. And I kind of think that it's that substance that helps the ibuprofen work. But yeah, that's so like crazy awesome to think about that. And the other crazy awesome thing is I might can like look on Amazon to see what is it? What would it be, like a laptop screen? I've seen one where it actually missed 2. Yeah, those are $400. That's $100. That's 90. See, that's more what I'm talking about. 79, 53. And this is HDMI-C, HDMI travel monitor external for keyboard. Perfect. Second display HDR. That's $53. 59. And all I'm saying is the ones that are the laptop extender things, that essentially lets me box these things up in their perfect boxes, ready to sell or ship or just store, and just use only the bottom box and those things, because those things would fit. I could get 2 or 3 of those for the price of a laptop, and that makes that whole bottom box work. The only question is how to, fortunately kind of now, the bottom box, how do I put it, the G1 tower I thought was better because it has a higher output power supply, but I don't use it. This thing is, all of the connections are maxed and it never overheats. It never gets, and the reason I have the low profile 6400 is because at the time I got it, anything bigger than that would need extra power. So it wouldn't work in any of my other small form factor machines. Because when I started this whole process, I started with one almost that size, but a G1. I got it because I was playing GTA on a PS3 that I found in the dumpster area, free box, and they stopped supporting it. So I got the cheapest machine I could find that I could also comprehend. As time went on, the prices for its technology would get affordable. So I could always upgrade to my level, even though my level's a year or 2 or 3 behind everyone else's. I can make it work faster. Because somebody makes a machine today and runs Windows or Mac, no matter what it is, you throw Mint on there and dump all of that other stuff, it's so smoking fast. Slim USB-C HDMI for laptop. See, I'm wondering if that's what that thing is a connector for. So now I should probably look up a Zoom QH2N or Q2N. ZOO M Q2N display. So that's a Q2N, so tell me the deal on the specs maybe. .150-degree lens, so when it's wide like that, it's 150, I guess. 1/8" stereo ins and outs, 1/8" stereo ins and outs, 12 lighting scenes. 128 gig card for that. I'm guessing is the largest is $13. I'd rather see if I can find a high-speed terabyte for each one and just not even bother. Like the small one for crossover points. This says HDMI right there on the deal. So if I look at that, and the USB says DC 5V. So I want a screen that's the HDMI. And this says CHDMI. So let me see a picture that shows me what it's. Sure, but I think this is on. It's set up like it's an actual 15-inch monitor on a little 360-degree stand. That's fucking perfect. I mean, like perfect. In that it mounts straight into this on that table or wherever you wanted, and then blam bloom, it's up and going. Just from what I see, it doesn't mean it's the way that it is. But I see one that's going to power, and then I see one that's going to the computer, and it just says HDMI or USB-C connection. I'm just not sure how that's going to view on the translation of my computer. Is my question or issue. But the whole 360 deal with this, that, and the other, and that's $63. It's 22% off, ends in 30 minutes, it says, but, you know, I'm shopping, I'm not buying. I'll shop for it. And here's one for 53, 15-inch, C, HDMI, something. And it's in a tablet with its own little kind of cover and stand. 15 inches, 1080dp, 6x9, matte surface, mini HDMI. Mini port HDMI. So the question is, how do I get my HDMI display port to mini HDMI port cable? That's what I need. Because that thing right there should have the cable that connects straight to that. Like, that's meant for it. So then the question is, how do I make so that screen can connect to that computer down there? And USB-A mini HDMI port. I guess a Type-C port seems... So, in other words, it's suggesting instead of connecting to the display's port on the video card, I would connect it to the USB out of the computer to the USB-C connector to the phone. And that thing is $53. And the only real difference I'm seeing, they're both 15.6 inches. Well, the one's 15, this other one's 15.6. Still, the 15.6 IPS monitor. And it says something about switch. I don't know what that means. But that seems to be the going rate price. And then I see one that's 2 screens for a laptop, which essentially is doing this as long as those 2 screens, instead of to the laptop, connect to the computer with like a single HDMI or something. Laptop extender, 15-inch portable monitor. Oh, it's just showing one monitor, one sideways one and one sideways the other. So that, I don't know how to put it, but how does it connect? And that says glossy, whereas that other thing says matte. I think I like matte better. Usually when the descriptions give over, like, it's like they're typing too much, it sucks. I want one where they don't have to tell you much about it and they're like, must be good. But it gives me awareness of what's the value rate, so I can keep in mind some concept of the plastic. Like what I have now takes only the plastic wrap, but the fact that those things, I can do it for this and do it for that. So if I have both boxes, I use that screen as that extra, is what I'm seeing right here, even though I see it here. But better, the bottom, I remove all the weight and size of what's on the top, except the speakers in the deal. And that is like, whoa. True fact. I'd be willing to, well, no, that's not true. Might be close. The 2 plastic shells with the 4 plastic legs might weigh less than the skin of the metal of the computer that I took off, making the computer box is normally like this and like that lighter by putting it into that thing than wrapping that whole thing with plastic, putting lights in there, wrapping it again. That way the lights are trapped into the walls that are all waterproof, windproof, weatherproof, dust resistant. Bam. The kind of thing you could hose down, never gets worried. That can get put in a baby baggy buggy on the back, or on the single, or on the platform, or wherever it's at. I wouldn't want to go 4 foot, whatever this, I think it's 4 foot wide, on the top of a bicycle, but on a trailer long ways, then you pull it up, it works. The other thing I kind of think in my head for the thrift store probably is training wheels, because the single wheel trailer sucks more butt than than the whole Castro district. Let's just say that. But with training wheels, it would hold it. You know what I mean? That way, it just does this and none of this bullshit. But I'm seeing all kinds. Oh, here's one that's a touchscreen monitor, $150. So instead of this and the things, it's just like blip blap, tip tip tap tap. All of those things should and would connect with Mint seamlessly. So that's all good news, good awareness. I kind of had stuff in there. Where's the live? I don't care about the picture part. 121. All right. So this is my shopping list. Revision part 2. Oh, right. I've got to have a reminder to myself to click the don't. YouTube keeps telling me bitrate's too fast, the bitrate's too fast. It's like, dude, just accept it. It's better than being too slow. And I think when I get the warnings, it's not an actual warning. I think it's because it's not matching what it wants as bitrate. But there's a box that I can click. I have to do it when it's not running. But I like this super clean. Like, look how clean that is. That's clean. You see that? Like 1, 2, 3. 1 audio, 1 video, number 2 video. No extra. Now, I'm not sure. Part of my learning curve is discovering how OBS, some things are kind of default. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I had to do a couple of times to remember and get to that point where I do this. Because a lot of times, any overlay, if I was just trying to be fun and creative, let's say I turned this way, and I back this camera back up to the 150 degree. If I'm just being weird, right? Let's say I make a background for my desktop that's just green. Then on this camera, through that program, I make it so it's chroma key green. Then, through this program, I find 5 pieces of video information, a feed, whether it's whatever it is, audio, video, music video, live stream, a camera, whatever it is, input. Then I frame those boxes so they fit the chroma keyed screens. So I can make what you see there blend by putting the chroma key screens so that right there appears as if it's one curved screen. See what I mean? But it will look like it's one curved screen to you. To me, I'll have the 3 different screens. With that chroma key idea, if the top screen, the middle screen, meaning top up here, if it's not chroma keyed, if it's not green, I can use it as my OBS, which allows me to see what would be in those other screens, even though I have them set to be green. That way, anything that I put in the boxes fits there. I don't have to just put it on that screen. Let you flip flop, let you change things. One of the things I remember, I'm gonna wrap this up for the day actually. And yeah, I said I was gonna do that, but I'll do that later. Earlier today, And in previous podcast live streams, I have done it a certain way intentionally to test the process of doing it a certain way. That is officially getting myself to sleep if I'm recharging myself, recharging stuff. Camping, that's impossible. Being somewhere I'm able to work and have power and be out of the elements, vital, the important, super awesome. Fact of the matter, figuring that out for January is the mission. But in the meantime, shopping and finding hotspot internet, unlimited data. Just like if I had a home, but I'm going to be moving it. Some type of power supply for that. Oftentimes at a thrift store, uninterrupted power supply is perfect because those oftentimes, it's an old mechanical trick. Couple things. The thing that makes a battery function is the chemicals in the water versus the metal. Over time, sometimes the metal gets corroded with extra residue. And the secret is to overcharge it so it shocks that plate more, so whatever that is, it falls off. Then you drain all that acidic liquid, refill it with distilled water, put these little tablets in there, which gives it super boost of acid. That essentially recharges that battery. It's a maintenance battery. Maintenance-free batteries were designed to sell that liquid because batteries are just batteries. They're just a chemical reaction. The cleaner and newer they are, the better they are. If they're old and someone throws them out 8 times out of 20, 20 times out of 10, you can make that battery function almost as good as new. Most of the times with little more than extra high charge for a car battery or a boat battery, a marine battery. That could be as little as from 12 to 15. Like if you would normally charge it at 12 volts, you just put 15 or 18 at it. That's enough to shock that stuff. You don't even have to drain the water. That's just the right way of doing it. Because then you have everything as clean as it could have been new without pulling the, I think it's lead plates out and dipping them into acid and removing that so you don't, by I'm just noticing an extra sound, and I'm seeing that that door is closed. I have it fast. It's just, I'm stupid like that. I get distracted. Oh, that's what it is. That. But I've turned the shower on. Steam, getting the room ready for a bath, and then what I do is I steam up the room so it's warm, so when I put water in the bathtub it stays warmer longer. What I'm hearing, you're probably hearing also, is either the neighbor or the down, I don't know who it is, but you can hear water running from the neighbor because I'm not running anything. My mind is calculating on reconverting this to nothing. That also allows lay down space because I'm definitely not wedging. I'm not putting consciousness between today and tomorrow. I'm going to lay down and try to sleep, at least rest my neck. That's a big deal. Get the window closed. And this is about 1:30, so that's good. Lots of product placement, did that. Eventually going to get to a point where there's a way of making the stream happen so all of the hashtags and everything in the description is a specific way. There's also a thing I need to think about for the reality of this whole thing, is setting this so it's using as low of a Wi-Fi signal as possible. Like keeping a log of it, tracking it, because like higher resolution images take more data. Follow. So if I'm setting this so I can be at an event like a concert or something, and I'm streaming the video mostly as just a recorded documentation, in that bag down there, the laptop bag, that's the audio mixer. That's what turns all of what I've just discussed into a mobile studio. Because with that, it has a high quality preamp box made by Zoom with 4 channels in on the sides of either XLR or quarter inch. Then it has an XY mic on the top that also has a stereo mic in. That's probably the device where it actually does put whatever. So if I put a mic to that, it will sit, it both, like the LR goes to its own tracks and that goes to its own tracks. And then anything on these 4 go into its own tracks. So essentially that little mixery thing I showed you earlier today or in another podcast, but it's 4 channels with 1 channel. Normally I would connect 4 stereo connectors from 4 computers into that. Those are stereo, so left and right, but there's no pan. It's just is what it is, but volume. And the volume is more of an opposite thing, because essentially they're all resistance. And because it's passive, if you have only 2 connected, it's louder than if you have 3 connected and 2 of those things are giving no signal. There's just something about how many connections changes the ohms, changes the output. But you can use it. It's not the right way, but it works. But in that same function, you can get 1 signal out and make 5 other stereo signals. So if I had a grip of something like this, I can connect this stereo out, or the headphones of these speakers, to a speaker like this. What's neat about this particular brand and model, this is a JBL, it is a Flip 4, but there's one button here that essentially puts out a Bluetooth signal for any other Flip 4, meaning that you can turn this one connection that would broadcast to a bunch of them around. So you could put imagine you had 10 of these, and you just say, hey, come here, hold on to this, don't fuck with it, but just hold on to it and watch what happens. You get everybody to spread out, and then you hit play, and it's just like, blam! Bro, that's just, I mean, come on. How cool is that? Clem Hawkins, you know how we do it. Love you, fam.